Plan maintenance for your virtual machines in Azure, and why should you care? Or maybe don't. My name is Ziv. I'm with the Azure Compute team. Thank you for coming. And in the context of this session, we're going to talk about the maintenance that we, Azure, need to perform and how this impacts and how on your VMs and how you can respond, react, and plan to minimize the impact on your VMs. So first, let's start with the simple fact that the majority of updates that we run to our platform have no impact to your VMs. You don't know, you don't care. However, there are a few cases where there is some impact to your VMs. And the first one is based on a technology we have developed over last year, actually, called VM preserving maintenance. In short, we call it VMFU, preserving host updates. And the idea here is when we need to update the underlying hosting infrastructure, the hypervisor, our agents running on the host, security patches for our platform. Basically, what we want to do is we want to freeze your VM and then replace the DLLs and other binaries that we need to replace, and then resume the VM. What you see is basically a freeze of few seconds for your VMs. Now, when I say few seconds, the common scenario is 2 to 5 seconds, and in the rare case, it is going to be 30 seconds. If this is more than 30 seconds, if we monitor the impact and see impact longer than 30 seconds, we actually cancel the maintenance and see what went wrong. However, there are still some platforms that these few seconds or 30 seconds is impactful for them. Imagine trading algorithms or gaming platforms or remote desktop solutions. So even for those platforms, we have an option to let the VM know that maintenance is coming and have the platform react to those events. I'll show you later on today. The second category is VM restarting maintenance. Now here, basically, this is a full reboot. Memory lost, connections, and so on. And we separate two kind of different use cases here. One is a reboot, and the other is a redeploy. And the only difference is the fact that you are losing your ephemeral drive, your D drive, temp drive, when we have to move you to another host, another server. So the idea is that as we do more and more maintenance as VM preserving maintenance and less VM restarting maintenance, you get the benefits of whatever functionality we release. Better performance, better availability, new capabilities to the Azure platform without really being impacted. However, for the rare case of this VM restarting maintenance, we basically set the following 3 goals. We wanted to have better communication, longer notification time. In the past, it was roughly 7 days. We wanted to give you more. We wanted to give you visibility to the maintenance status per VM. We're being often asked, hey, you sent me this notification, but how do I know that maintenance is done for this VM or for my VMs? So we want to give you this visibility to the maintenance status. And then more often we were asked to provide more channels. Hey, look, this subscription admin is the guy with the credit card, but actually all of the resources are managed by a DevOps team or a vendor. So can you add more recipients to this notification and more channels, not just email, but have the ability to set up alerts to get text messages, or even better, webhooks to automate the response for those notifications. The second aspect was more control. The theme was, I want to control the impact of your maintenance to my VMs. I need to communicate this maintenance to my leadership, to my customer. I want to do it Tuesday night or Saturday morning. I want the ability to take down my entire application to perform maintenance across all tiers. Give me that control. And the last aspect was reduced impact. Actually, you guys don't really want to see us running maintenance or impactful maintenance, as we call it, to your VMs. So we decided to have this internal budget, as we call it, and set the goal to have a single annual VM impacting or VM restarting maintenance to your VMs. And as we do this, first we get more and more this VM preserving maintenance to happen. So all of the patching, we basically freeze your VM and do it within up to 30 seconds. But there are cases where we either want to do hardware decommission, we want to move you to a newer, better hardware, or cases where we need to replace the entire underlying infrastructure, such as we want to migrate, we're using Hyper-V, so we want to migrate to the latest and greatest from the Windows team. So in those cases, we basically club together all of those impacting maintenance to a single annual event. And this single annual event, this planned maintenance experience, will have multiple iterations or multiple waves. So we want to make it safe. And this is something we learned the hard way, that when we roll out new code, it may fail. We had retakes and so on. We want to make it safe in a way that we start small and then slowly we grow the scope of the maintenance. So we came up with canary regions. Those are like virtual regions open to first and third party customers, where we gonna roll out these new components, new workload, run this maintenance first, wait for a few days, see that everything is okay, and then move forward. The second aspect is region pairs. When you plan for disaster recovery or resiliency, you actually want to look at deploying your workload across multiple regions. So we honor the concept of region pairs. For example, in US, East and West will never be touched or impacted at the same time. Okay, in Europe, it's North and West and so on. In each geo, in each country, we have at least 2 regions. The third aspect is update domain safe or UD safe. If you are using cloud services, the PaaS platform, or VM scale set, or availability set, you are actually protected from us taking down all of your VMs. Each of those constructs surface or has the notion of update domains, UDs, and the idea is we will take down one UD at a time. The sequence may not be is not determined up front, but the idea is you have the guarantee that we will take down VMs from up to one UD at any given time. So how will it look like? We will start with a notification to you. And I mentioned this notification, you can configure alerts and add more recipients, more channels, such as text messages and webhooks for automation. Then you'll have visibility to the maintenance states per each VM and the ability to start maintenance within up to 30 days window. It may be less than 30 days, but the idea is give you sufficient time to go coordinate the exact time with your customer or manager or IT team. Following this preemptive window, we will have a scheduled window where we schedule the maintenance on your VMs. And within this window, VMs which were not kind of controlled in the first window will be impacted in the second. So when we start a maintenance wave, you have visibility to both time windows, and you can decide, you say, hey, your scheduled maintenance window happened to land on my national holiday, and I cannot have my website or application down. Or it could be on the other end, say, hey, your maintenance run happens to be on a national holiday, and all of my employees taking the week off, so I'm okay with that. So key question you should ask yourself besides visibility is, should I start the maintenance myself? And if your application or your business fall into one of those 5 buckets, then probably the answer is yes. Otherwise, maybe it's not. So it's either you need to communicate the exact maintenance window. If you have an SLA with your end customer, and as part of this SLA, you need to communicate 4 hours of maintenance of change window, you fall under this bucket. If you need to control or orchestrate the impact, some say, hey, I want to do my database tier and then move to my application tier, or do it together at the same time. You may want to use this start maintenance yourself. I mentioned that we provide you this UD safe maintenance. and we guarantee at least 30 minutes between each group of servers. What if 30 minutes is not sufficient for you? What if your application is using the local disk and require more time after a reboot to rebuild an index or copy a replica or do something which basically 30 minutes won't do it? So with this planned maintenance experience, you can do one VM now, the second after 4 hours or 4 days, and control the time yourself. Last bullet here, everything which has to do with single instance VMs running production workloads. It is not a recommended architecture, but we acknowledge the fact that there are customers who use it. It's a legacy app, it cannot scale, it's a small app, I don't care if it goes down. This falls under this start maintenance bucket. Otherwise, if you have a large deployment, availability set or scale set, and you're okay with us scheduling the impact yourself, let us do it. The last bullet here, if you have automated a proactive failover, so you can drain a VM before we reboot it and save state or initiate proactive failover. You can do that with many modern platforms, and by doing so, you're actually resilient to our maintenance. So what is this proactive failover, and why should you care? We have released a new feature called scheduled events. And the idea is that we want to surface from within the VM an event saying, hey, this VM is going to be impacted really soon. And really soon means 10 to 15 minutes. So by pulling for this endpoint, local endpoint, and pulling those events, you know what's about to happen to your VM. And the event type could be either reboot or redeploy or freeze. So if you have a remote desktop session or a gaming platform, you can actually react before we freeze your VM. What can you do? This is workload specific. You can drain connection, you can save state, you can initiate failover, you can even send an alert to the admin if they have something to do in such a short period of time. But the idea is that we now communicate those events from within the VM. You don't need to have Azure credentials. Any local user on that VM may pull for those events, perform an application workload specific logic, and then can acknowledge the event to move faster. So we start with a 15 minutes window. You saved state, you send a notification, now your VM is sitting idle. You don't want to take new load on this VM. So you can acknowledge the event, do an HTTP post, acknowledging the event, and this will give us the signal that we can proceed faster and skip the remaining 15 minutes. So this is scheduled events for the VM preserving maintenance, the VM impacting maintenance, and actually we are working to add more and more resiliency and availability scenarios to this feature. So for example, if we detect that the server that you guys run on is running hot, one CPU has failed, local disks have failed, we need to evacuate the server. This evacuation is, today at least, an impactful event. So we will raise this scheduled event to the VM so that you can save state and perform the same logic. All right. With that, let's see a quick demo of how this happens in action. So we're going to start with the Azure portal. And our first stop is going to be the Azure monitor, where I configure alerts. I mentioned that I want to set new recipients and new channels for those maintenance notifications. So I configured here an alert. And all this is like something generic in Azure. The Azure monitor alerts you can use for many, many different scenarios. But in this context, what you need to remember that pick the type maintenance, and then you pick a subscription and one or more resource groups. You can filter by resource groups. And then you can see that the action group here is a maintenance alert. And maintenance alert is an action group which I have configured. And in this case, maintenance alert basically has my SMS, text, email, or webhooks. So that's step one, which you may want to do now even. Set up the alert so that when we start the maintenance, your DevOps team will get the alert. Second step is when we start the actual maintenance, you will be able to look at it from a new planned maintenance dashboard. And the dashboard shows summary of the maintenance. You can see now that we are running an experiment in US West Central. We will be running this experiment or trial until the end of this week. So if you are quick to respond, you can create VMs now in West Central and see them scheduled for maintenance for the next 2 days. I can also get updates about this maintenance. It could be that we have extended or changed the schedule. This is where I can see updates. And also look at the affected resources, in this case, virtual machines, because due to this maintenance. I can see here the list of impacted VMs and the ones which were completed, already done, and the others which are still waiting for me to start the maintenance. When clicking on this link, I'll see the detailed timeline for my VM, and I can start the maintenance now, or in this case, wait until Azure will do it for me. So clicking the start maintenance here will result in a reboot, or actually the VM will be moved to an already updated host. If you have large number of VMs, this is not really useful. You can look at something like this. This is a sample in PowerShell, where basically I iterate all of my resource groups in my subscription, and I do a get VM dash status, and then I query the maintenance redeploy status, and if customer initiated maintenance is allowed, then basically this is comment out the restart VM, so I can call restart VM dash perform maintenance to actually start the maintenance. So this is the way to do it at scale. We have a similar experience for if you're running Linux, in this case it's a bash demo. So this bash script does a very similar way that we did in PowerShell. And again, just to recap, we wanted to give you better communication, up to 30 days notification, more channels, configure activity log alerts, and forward those notifications to your DevOps teams or your vendor. Add option for text messages, automate the response with webhooks, and then have more control. You can either initiate maintenance yourself. You can use the in-VM scheduled events to initiate a proactive failover to reduce the impact to your application. And always, we try to set the bar for up to a single annual VM restarting reboot, and even continue to invest in reducing this by embracing technologies such as live migration. With that, the next planned maintenance event will start relatively soon. We will blog about it. We will tell everyone that we are starting. We'll give you enough time to get ready. In the remaining few days before the end of this pilot, you can share this information with your team, create a VM in US West Central, and give it a try. Also, in terms of content, beside this deck, which will be available to you, just typing Azure planned maintenance, you'll get to this blog post. We also recorded a video explaining, beside of this session, of course, explaining what to do, and also published how-to guides for Windows admins as well as Linux admins with more samples, the PowerShell and the CLI. With that, I'd like to thank you for joining us now. I know it's late afternoon, and I wish you all the best and enjoy Ignite. Thank you.